Imagine being the last born in your family, the one nobody really notices, the one they send on errands, the one they forget to call when something important is happening. That was David. He was born in a small town called Bethlehem, into the family of a man named Jesse. He had older brothers, strong, tall, trained for battle. David, he was the shepherd boy. While his brothers trained with swords, David trained with sheep. Day after day, under the scorching sun and the freezing night air, he watched over his father's flock. Alone, just him, the wind, and the sound of bleating sheep. But those lonely fields became his training ground. He learned courage when lions attacked. He learned responsibility when sheep wandered. He learned worship as he sang songs to God under the stars. Nobody saw him, but God did. One day, a prophet named Samuel arrived in Bethlehem. God had rejected King Saul and was choosing a new king. Jesse proudly presented his strong, impressive sons. One by one, Samuel examined them. Surely this must be the one, Samuel thought as he saw the tall, handsome eldest brother. But God whispered something powerful. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. After all the brothers passed by, Samuel asked, "Is this all your sons?" Jesse hesitated. There is still the youngest, but he's tending sheep. They called David in. Dusty, young, ordinary. And God said, "This is the one." Right there, in front of his surprised brothers, David was anointed king. But here's the part most people miss. He did not become king immediately. He went back to the sheep. Sometimes, God gives you a promise long before he gives you the position. Years later, Israel faced a giant problem. Literally, a Philistine warrior named Goliath stood nearly 9 feet tall. He mocked Israel daily. Even King Saul was afraid. David wasn't even a soldier. He was just delivering food to his brothers at the battlefield. But when he heard Goliath insult God, something stirred inside him. While trained soldiers trembled, the shepherd boy stepped forward. "I will fight him." They laughed. They doubted him. They underestimated him. But David remembered something important. If God helped him kill a lion and a bear, surely God would help him defeat a giant. No heavy armor, no sword, just a sling and 5 smooth stones. One stone, one swing, one miracle. The giant fell, and overnight, the forgotten shepherd became a national hero. But success brought new problems. King Saul became jealous. The same King David served began trying to kill him. David ran. He hid in caves. He lived like a fugitive. Can you imagine? Anointed king, but sleeping in caves. Sometimes, your promise will be tested before it is fulfilled. David had chances to kill Saul and end his suffering. Twice, he could have taken revenge. But he refused. He said, "I will not touch the Lord's anointed." That restraint showed something powerful. David had character before he had a crown. Eventually, Saul died in battle, and David finally became king. He ruled first over Judah, then over all Israel. He captured Jerusalem and made it the capital. Under David's leadership, Israel became strong and united. He brought the Ark of the Covenant back to Jerusalem with dancing and celebration. He wasn't ashamed to worship publicly. David wasn't perfect, but he loved God deeply. And then came his greatest failure. One evening, instead of going to war with his army, David stayed home. From his rooftop, he saw a woman bathing. Her name was Bathsheba. She was married, but David desired her. Power clouded his judgment. He committed adultery, and when she became pregnant, he tried to cover it up. When that failed, he arranged for her husband, Uriah, to be placed in the fiercest battle, where he was killed. The shepherd boy who once trusted God had now abused his power. But God sent the prophet Nathan to confront him. Instead of denying it, David broke. He repented deeply. Psalm 51 was born from that moment, a cry for mercy. "Create in me a clean heart, O God." David faced consequences. His family experienced turmoil. One of his sons, Absalom, later rebelled against him and tried to take his throne. David fled Jerusalem barefoot, weeping. The mighty king, once again, became a fugitive. Life has a way of humbling us. Yet through victories and failures, one thing remained constant. David always returned to God. He wrote many of the Psalms, songs of praise, pain, joy, fear, gratitude, and trust. That's what makes him relatable. He wasn't a perfect hero. He was human. He doubted. He sinned. He cried. He worshipped. He fought. He repented. And God called him a man after my own heart. not because he was flawless, but because his heart kept turning back. In his old age, David prepared his son Solomon to become king. He gathered materials for the temple he longed to build, though God told him Solomon would build it instead. Even at the end, David was thinking about legacy. He had ruled for 40 years. The shepherd boy who nobody noticed became one of Israel's greatest kings. And when he died, he was buried in the city of David. His story didn't end there. Generations later, from David's lineage came Jesus Christ, often called the Son of David, from forgotten fields to eternal impact. So what can we learn from David? Your beginning does not define your ending. Your mistakes do not cancel your destiny. Your private seasons prepare you for public battles. David's life teaches us that greatness is not about perfection. It's about a heart that keeps choosing God. From sheep fields to palace halls, from harp music to battle cries, from failure to forgiveness. This was David. And maybe, just maybe, parts of his story are parts of yours too.